Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Thursday, April 7th. Ian Cameron will have Jimmy Murphy momentarily as well. Perhaps Alex B. Smith as well joining us on this Thursday show. We got a huge Thursday card on tap. 10 games in the NHL tonight. Really, it's our third from last Thursday of the regular season in the National Hockey League. We only have 3 regular season Thursdays left, so we really are counting down the days toward the end of the regular season and obviously the start of the Stanley Cup playoffs as well. So busy card tonight, big slate. Let's get right to it and let's get started. We'll start with the Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the New York Rangers. We've got pretty much even money here, both sides, minus 110. The total, 5.5 here across the board in this game. The Pittsburgh Penguins have had their share of problems lately with the New York Rangers. Of course, they have played each other quite a bit, over the course of the last month. And the New York Rangers have gotten the better of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Excuse me. In each of those last 2 meetings, they were victorious in both of them. The had scores of 5-1 Rangers and 3-2 Rangers, March 25th and March 29th. So the Rangers have done pretty well head-to-head here against the Pittsburgh Penguins. We'll see if they can keep that going here tonight in this game. Of course, they got a much-needed win, 2 straight losses for the Rangers against the Islanders and the Flyers. The Flyers game, actually, I thought they played more than well enough to win, but unfortunately really couldn't find the back of the net, and they were able to get still a pretty good effort in that game. And then, of course, the last game, they bounced back and they ended up getting the victory against New Jersey. It was a really, really sturdy, tidy, good, solid road game, if you will, for the Rangers against New Jersey in that 3-1 win. Pretty good performance. It was very good defensively from them. And look, Alexander Georgiev, who got the start on Thursday for the New York Rangers, got the start on Tuesday for the New York Rangers. He played well. You got to give him credit. He got the opportunity to be in net in that game, and he made the most of it, able to help the New York Rangers to victory in that game. I'll be quite honest with you. People are betting Pittsburgh here. Maybe it's because they're looking to avenge 2 straight losses to the Rangers and the fact they're coming off 2 straight losses to Colorado. So you would think Pittsburgh really, really chomping at the bit to get back in the win column. I understand that, but you are talking about a New York Rangers team that's beaten Pittsburgh twice in a row, that has 22 home wins this year, 22-11 at Madison Square Garden this year. That's pretty damn good. I think, to me, the Rangers would be the way I'd go about it. I'm going to probably go ahead with the Rangers here at minus 110 for a small play. I really like a lot of their advanced numbers and a lot of the, stats that you look at beyond just the base are pointing toward the Rangers really playing better. Like, you're seeing them now repeatedly outshoot the other team, outplay the other team. You go back to the March 22nd game against New Jersey. They outshot the Devils. They outshot Pittsburgh. They outshot Buffalo. Outshot the Pittsburgh Penguins again when they beat them the second time. Outshot Detroit. Outshot the Islanders. Heavily outshot the Flyers. So they've had I think, a better overall flow in terms of the Rangers doing a better job, I would say, the last couple of weeks, controlling the play, having the puck more, and playing more in the offensive zone. Because, to be quite honest, earlier in the season, we were kind of critical of the Rangers sometimes, letting the other team dictate the play and letting them pepper just a bunch of shots on Igor Shesterkin, and a lot of the onus on whether the Rangers won and lost would fall on, Igor Shesterkin, whereas the Rangers, you'd only be able to really count on them to be in the offensive zone consistently when they had the man advantage. I think their 5-on-5 play is definitely getting better here in the last few weeks. Their overall team game is improving. Gerard Gallant has echoed that in the last few games. So, yeah, I get it. Pittsburgh probably beyond sick and tired of losing to the Rangers because they've lost 2 in a row. You're probably going to get a very good effort from the Penguins. They're off 2 losses to Colorado back-to-back. So there are reasons to like Pittsburgh, but we're betting prices here we're not betting teams. And to me, to put the Rangers at pick'em here, even money with the way they're playing right now at home against the Penguins, looks like there's a little value to me on the blue shirts in this game. So I like the Rangers a little bit. It's not a super strong play for me, but I will be betting New York here for something at around minus 110, even money against the Pittsburgh Penguins in this game. By the way, Tristan Jarry confirmed in net for the Penguins. You would expect Shesterkin, even though it hasn't been confirmed yet for the Rangers. And Zucker and Beaulieu still out for the Penguins. And it's Capo Caco, where they were hoping maybe he'd be back tonight for the Rangers, but they're going to hold off on allowing him to come back. I apologize for the occasional cough and the voice, the throat going a little bit. It's almost like someone's grabbing your throat, and it's when you, you're doing that. So we're still trying to, shake this thing. Hasn't completely gone away yet. It's getting there. It's getting close, but once in a while we have a little bit of a coughing fit, so apologies for that. All right, next up we've got Philadelphia and Columbus. Columbus, minus 130, home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Back-to-back home and home series with these two teams. They played in Philly, obviously, the other night, and the Blue Jackets got the 4-2 win in that game. Philadelphia, 49 shots on goal. Let's give Merzlikins a lot of credit. 47 saves on 49 shots. He was brilliant in that game for the Jackets in between the pipes. We'll see if he can play that well again. He has been confirmed once again as the starting goalie, and this isn't a shock. Columbus, is without Jonas Korpisalo. They're without Daniil Tarasov, the young prospect goalie of theirs as well. And they clearly don't have any interest at the moment playing JF Berube at any point, which is pretty interesting because he actually played well for them a few times when he started earlier this season. But there's absolutely no sign of Brad Larson giving the net to JF Berube anytime soon. So as a result, we've seen the Jackets repeatedly turn to Elvis Merzlikins, who will be back in net tonight. Martin Jones in net, and for the first time in a while, when I see Martin Jones confirmed in net, I'm not going to totally rip him apart because he last start against the Rangers, he was terrific. He was. It was, I think, probably had to have been his best start of the season in that 4-3 shootout win against the New York Rangers. He played very well. 46 shots that he faced. He stopped 43 of them. To be honest, he's the reason the Flyers won that game because the Rangers really did carry the play for the most part in that game for the Rangers, and Jones was good. I think by far it had to have been, because I watched a large part of that Rangers-Flyers game, it had to have been one of his absolute best games of the season, hands down. So it'll be interesting to see if he can play that well again. But what I know about Martin Jones is, yes, Martin Jones can play well from time to time and come up with that dazzling start. But I find every single time he does that, he falls right back down again in the very next time he's in net. I've seen it multiple times, whether it's with the Kings, whether it's with the San Jose Sharks, or whether it's been here in Philadelphia. There's a reason he has fallen to backup goalie, status in the NHL the last couple of seasons. Lacking consistency has been the reason for that. And a lot of times we have seen Martin Jones give it his all, be great, just have that shining night in net where he just looks impenetrable, can't be beaten. And the next start, he just can't follow it up. And he's back to the old beach ball version of Martin Jones, unable to stop the puck. So I don't trust him. I got to see it again. To be quite honest with you, from him, whether he is able to get the job done tonight. As far as the Flyers go, look, they had all kinds of shots on Merzlikins. You got to think maybe there's a better chance they'll find the back of the net here. And it's one of those games where, again, we had an under. It just stayed under, but it did stay under 6.5 2 nights ago in that 4-2 Columbus win. I think the reverse happens tonight. I would look over the total here with the Flyers and the Blue Jackets tonight. I would expect the Flyers maybe to have a dent Merzlikins a little bit more. I mean, he's playing a shit ton of games in a row. At some point, he's going to get worn down. He's going to get fatigued. He's going to get run down. They're running him right into the ground right now with all the starts they're giving him in a row consecutively. At some point, that might affect his performance a little bit. And like I said, on the flip side, I'm going to dare Martin Jones to play well again, because so many times in the past we have seen him not be able to follow up a really good start in net with another one. And that is, once again, the concern that I have for Martin Jones here tonight. So I like the over here, 6.5, and that's what I'll be going with between the Flyers and the Blue Jackets. As far as the injuries go, it's the same old players that are out for Philly that have been out for a while. Ryan Ellis on defense, Sean Couturier at center. For the Jackets, same thing. Korpisalo out. Boone Jenner's been out for a while. Tessier's been out for a while. So basically status quo. The players that have been missing for the last few games are still out. None of them coming back tonight for this game. All right, Nashville, Ottawa. We've got Nashville minus 170 road favorites, 6 the total in this game. Predators, very impressive home win against the Minnesota Wild. Definitely a scheduling advantage, situational advantage for them going into that game, based on the fact that, they hadn't played since Friday night against the Buffalo Sabres. It was a disappointing loss, 4-3 in that game on Friday night. So they hadn't played since Friday when they played Minnesota Tuesday night. So good amount of rest, get practice in, try to bounce back, and they were ready for that game. They played well. They beat Minnesota 6-2. And UC Saros was probably his best game in a while. Here's another guy that hasn't necessarily been at his best, I would say, the last couple of weeks. UC Saros has had a couple games where it's just he hasn't looked quite as sharp or dialed in and, on top of the puck, all those kind of things. But he certainly was on Tuesday night against Minnesota, played very well in between the pipes for the Predators in the victory. And now they go to the Canada's nation's capital here to face Ottawa. What's something for Nashville is they now have they have everybody healthy right now, the Nashville Predators. So it's all hands on deck for them. They have no injuries up front, none on defense at all. For the first time in a while, they've got a fully healthy roster at their disposal, the Nashville Predators. So that definitely is good news for them, certainly moving forward tonight and beyond, as they try to remember they're not assured of anything. The Nashville Predators, they are still the first wild card, them and Dallas right now. And don't forget, there's Vegas right behind them, and even Winnipeg is not completely out of it yet, even though that was a brutal loss for them last night against Detroit that really hurt them. And Vancouver is not even totally dead yet after a big win in Vegas last night. But bottom line is Predators aren't assured of anything, so they need points in every game that they can get moving forward. This Ottawa team, 3 straight wins. They beat Detroit twice, and they beat Montreal. Let's give them some credit. However, I just don't like the injury situation whatsoever for Ottawa tonight. Usually I'm mildly interested in them catching a big price, but they've got some really key injuries. Shabbat, we know, out for a long period of time now. And up front now, Drake Batherson out again and injured again, which hurts. He's been a great top 6 forward for them. And what really could hurt tonight is Tim Stützle may not play. Game time decision. He's got a knee injury right now. If he doesn't play, that's a real shame for Ottawa, because he's really played well. He's on a 4-game point streak. I believe he's got 18 points in his last 18 games or something close to that for the Ottawa Senators. So, he's been extremely good lately for the Senators. So if you're down both Batherson and Stützle tonight, boy, it's going to hurt you a little bit in terms of the top 6 forward group. I got to lean to Nashville in regulation here. I mean, this is you snapped a little funk that you were in, beat a very good Minnesota team. I know on the road they've not been nearly as good lately, but and Ottawa is always a tough out. It's never easy to beat this team, but I just think it sets up well for Nashville. Ottawa a little depleted, back end no Shabbat, potentially down Batherson and Tim Stützle up front tonight. I think that could be some trouble. Saros looked like he got his game back on track, his best game in a while against Minnesota. He's already confirmed in net tonight. Anton Forsberg for Ottawa. I just think Nashville finds a way to get this victory tonight. So I'll look toward them probably in regulation, get them closer to minus 110 with the regulation bet. We got Jimmy Murphy with us. Looks like he's got all the screens going on in the background. You got a sports book?
I am a sports book, my friend.
What I thought, yeah.
Yeah, I decided what the hell. Went down the road into Connecticut, about a few exits down from where I live in Massachusetts, and they've got a little sports book here by Bradley International Airport. It's called Bobby V's in honor of Bobby Valentine.
Ah, nice. I was going to say Jimmy's not putting horse racing on in the background from home. He's got to be at a sports book right now.
Yeah,
there you go. Nice.
Opening day, going to get some baseball going here. I'm psyched.
Yeah, opening day MLB today. There's a lot of more games tomorrow, but still there's a bunch today. So It's nice to have baseball back for sure. It's that great time of year, right? Baseball's starting. The Masters golf is going on this weekend. You got NBA and NHL playoffs coming. So it's a great month, April. Always a lot going on. But what do you think here, Jimmy? Nashville taking on Ottawa.
I'm loving the over in the game and in the first period. So double over for me. I just see a lot of goals in this game, guys. I would probably, if I was going to go on the side, I would lean towards Nashville, but Ottawa's just sneaky sometimes. So let me just stick with the over-unders there.
All right, like in the first period over and the full game over in this one. Before you joined us, we talked 2 games. Penguins, Rangers. We'll start Penguins, Rangers there. I don't know. I know Pittsburgh's lost 2 in a row to the Rangers, and they've lost 2 in a row overall, back-to-back to Colorado. They're chomping at the bit. I get all that, but man, the Rangers are playing some of their best hockey. Their advanced numbers look terrific. They're consistently outplaying the opponent. I believe in each of their last 9 or 10 games, they're only laying $1.10 on home ice in this. Like, I understand Pittsburgh's chomping at the bit to beat the Rangers after losing back-to-back to them, but I thought minus 110 was some value to the Rangers. What do you think there?
Yeah, you know what? Right now, this game's just too tough to play for me right now. I'm going to stay away from it for all the reasons you just said. I mean, it looks like a good spot for the Rangers, and Pittsburgh's coming in off that loss, but it's still Pittsburgh's going to want some revenge, like you said. So I'm going to stay away from this game right now. It might be something I jump in live.
All right, and the other one we talked about, Philly and Columbus. Like I said, Martin Jones in net, he was absolutely stellar. I'll give him his credit. I'm willing to admit when he plays well, Martin Jones, and he did that against the Rangers on Sunday night. He's the reason they won in a shootout in that game. But I've said this a million times about Jones. He has a great start, and he doesn't have one the very next game. He's just been one of those goalies consistently. So for that reason, I did go in on the over in that. I lean Columbus too, but I lean a little bit to I'm just going to pull the trigger on the over there. What did you have there? Flyers, Jackets.
I'm doing another double over first period and over total in the game.
All right, there we go. Over first period and full game. All right, we move along. It's Montreal and New Jersey. We've got the Devils minus 155, home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. The New Jersey Devils, of course, man, just all kinds of issues in terms of defending for the better part of all season, but especially the last few weeks. It's just been dreadful for the New Jersey Devils defensively. The struggles continue to keep the puck out of their own net. I mean, these are some really atrocious defensive numbers we've seen from them in the last several games, giving up 5-6 a game. They actually did well to hold the Rangers to 3 in their last game. Problem is, though, they ended up losing the game by a score of 3-1, their 4th loss in a row. So it's been a struggle for them. And now, unfortunately, the injuries are starting to mount a little bit for the Devils. They missed Jack Hughes the last game against the Rangers. He got injured before that against the Islanders. He remains out for tonight. And Jimmy Vesey out as well. Nate Bastian also out up front for the Devils. Good news is they'll at least have, and he had a hat trick in a recent game for New Jersey against Florida, Igor Sharangovich. There was some worry that he may not suit up tonight either, but looks like he'll be in the lineup tonight for the Devils, which they need him now, because I hate to be worried and panicked just because of one game without Jack Hughes, but I don't think it's a total coincidence. Jack Hughes misses one game and they only score 1 goal. I mean, he is that significant to what they do offensively. And you saw it in that first game without him. But here against Montreal, and Jimmy, obviously you're on the Montreal Express now. You're wearing the Montreal hat along with the Boston hat in terms of teams you're covering on a daily basis. And for Montreal, what happened to this little defensive play they had in it for a little bit there under Marty St. Louis? It's gone away. Again, Montreal's struggling to keep the puck out. They give up 6 to Ottawa, 4 to Tampa, 4 to Carolina, 7 to Florida. I mean, they just had a really tough time at the defensive end of the ice. And surprising because, they've had Jake Allen back for most of these starts and yet still struggling to keep the puck out of their own net. I know New Jersey only got held to a goal against the Rangers, and they're without Jack Hughes. That's significant, but I don't know if I trust what I'm seeing from Montreal defensively. I think New Jersey can score here. That being said, I think Montreal scores here too. And Montreal, I think after getting thumped by Ottawa 6-3 the other night, they come back here with a pretty strong effort. And believe it or not, Jimmy, their road performances, they've not been bad. Tampa, they won in a shootout. They battled Florida pretty tough on the road. They lost 3-2 to New Jersey in a shootout. Some of their road performances lately have been pretty good. Remember what they did in Western Canada, beating Edmonton? beating Calgary, 2 shocking wins against 2 good teams from Alberta. I find on the road they're a little more relaxed, believe it or not, the Canadiens. So not only do I like the over in this game, I'm taking the underdog here. I mean, I just think for New Jersey, that's a big price for them to be laying. A bad defensive team, shaky goaltending with Dawes and with Gillies, the 2 goalies that have been going back and forth. No Jack Hughes, and you're going to price them out there as a minus 155 favorite tonight. I think that's pretty pricey to me for the Devils. So, and you got to think the Canadiens, after losing 6-3 against Ottawa, the one thing about them is they lose a game, even though they're not going anywhere this year, this young group is battling and looking to play better after a bad performance. That's the one thing consistent we've seen from them here under Marty St. Louis. So not only do I like the over, I like Montreal here as a potential live road underdog, plus 135. Jimmy, what do you think here? Habs Devils.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I'm going to actually stay a little away from the over-under. I would normally go over with both these teams, but just for what you just cited there with Jack Hughes missing, I think the offense for the Devils is a bit out of sorts, as we saw in the last game. So give me the Montreal Canadiens as an underdog here, straight up.
All right, Jimmy liking them as a dog as well here. Montreal and actually can get plus 140, plus 142 even in some spots. So shop around, can get pretty good value here on the Canadiens as road dogs tonight. Next up, Buffalo Sabres, Carolina Hurricanes, another home-and-home situation. Same 2 teams playing each other for the second straight time. Carolina minus 360 to minus 380 in some spots here as home favorites. 6 the total in this game. So if I were to bet the full game, I could only take Buffalo. There's no question. This team remains extremely undervalued. No doubt about that. And the way they've been playing, it's been impressive to see. They beat Carolina at home earlier this week by a score of 4-2. I mean, you look at their record, they're actually 6-4, winning record in their last 10 games. So give Buffalo credit for that. Carolina's actually lost 3 of their last 4. They lose to Tampa, Minnesota, and then, of course, that 4-2 loss in Buffalo on Tuesday night. So they're not exactly playing their absolute best, but I'll tell you what, I'd expect them to be strong early. The one thing Carolina has been this year is a pretty good team early in games in the first period.
Take a sip of water, brother. No worries. Jeez.
I got to get one.
Don't kill yourself. Before, but I can hold the fort if you need.
No, I'll get through this here, and then I'll grab. There's a bottle of water on the other desk. I'll get it in a sec. But I think Carolina will have a strong start tonight. I saw Nino Niederreiter and Jordan Staal and Aho and Brind'Amour not very amused with the way they played in Buffalo the other night. So as much as I've been waving the pom-poms and, basically looking to recommend Buffalo at an underdog price every night, I'm probably going to stay off it tonight. Certainly, if you're betting full game money line, it's Buffalo or pass still, because minus 370 is crazy. But I think early in the game, you really are going to get a really focused, resolved Carolina team early in this game tonight. So I think the first period puck line on Carolina, I do like that. -0.5, plus 100, first period puck line, even money on the Carolina Hurricanes to maybe take a lead early in this game. I think that's the best way to approach it. I think they have a good start, fast start at home. They need to get back on track. They've lost 3 of the last 4. Hell, they've invited, the New York Rangers right back into a position where they could actually, if the Rangers go on a run and Carolina keeps stumbling a little bit, first place for the Metro Division could still be taken by the New York Rangers. So this is getting to a point now for Carolina where, look, you've lost 3 of 4 for the last, 2 to 3 weeks. You haven't exactly played your best hockey, and you want to be playing well going into the playoffs. You just lost to Buffalo the other night. I think in the first 20 minutes, you get a really good effort tonight from Carolina. And overall for the season, keep in mind that Carolina has been a pretty good first period team all year. And I think tonight is definitely a night that you're going to see that on display. So not tonight for me with Buffalo. I'm going to go Carolina first period -0.5, plus 100 here. Jimmy, what do you think? Buffalo, Carolina.
I'm right with you, man. Give me the Carolina puck line in the first period there, and I might take them as as it goes on and see how this game develops. But I'm with you. They have to come out and answer the bell right off the bat. That's not to say that Buffalo won't jump back in it, because we've seen that they're playing much better hockey right now, so they can hang. But I like the Carolina Hurricanes puck line in the first period.
Yeah, I think that's a good bet there to take a lead going into the first intermission of this game, the Carolina Hurricanes. All right, we got Seattle, Chicago, playing for exercise, as I like to say. Chicago -150, 6.
Well, remember what's happening in Chicago tonight, though, Ian.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a little
Hossa.
more than your typical late season meaningless game. There's going to be some energy in that building tonight. I'm expecting a packed crowd, so we'll get to that. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's Marian Hossa. Obviously, honoring him tonight, and with his ceremony to retire. I believe it's retiring his number.
Yes, yep.
Right before the
And his
game.
retirement because it's
Yep.
official now.
Yep, exactly. So it's Marian Hossa night at United Center. So it'll be, a pretty good atmosphere. And, I wanted to take Chicago based on that. But again, I don't like laying $1.50 with a mediocre hockey team or a team that's not going to be in the playoffs. But there's obviously things to like. Maybe you could go a first period minus a half, jump out early, feed off that pregame ceremony that will be taking place tonight for Marian Hossa, who was, by the way, had a great career. I don't think his career gets the accolades it deserves, because not only was he obviously very good offensively, but he was totally great at the other end too, away from the puck. His play away from the puck was very renowned as well. Great player, many years in the playoffs, Stanley Cup champ, the whole bit. Multiple teams in his career where he played well. Remember, he started with Ottawa way back in the day. His career, Marian Hossa. I can remember him playing with a young Jason Spezza, Danny Heatley, Daniel Alfredson. I remember that way back in the day, him playing for the Ottawa Senators. But no, a terrific career. No question about that for Marian Hossa. I think I might actually take that as Chicago first period buck line minus a half here in this game. I think that's not a bad way to go. And you get plus 150 with Chicago minus a half, plus 150 in the first period as well. Chicago team total, maybe perhaps as well. And with these two teams, and just in general, two teams that aren't going to make the playoffs, I'm not going to shy away from an over usually in that situation. You usually get loose atmosphere. Like I always say, nobody's blocking a shot 15 points out of the playoffs. Nobody. All right. You're just not going to do it. So should see some lax defensive play really on both sides here tonight. So Kraken and Blackhawks would lean to the full game over the total as well. Chicago, that first period puck line, I think that's the best value. Don't mess around with Chicago minus 150 full game. Just maybe bank on them first 20 minutes, ride the emotion and the frenzied atmosphere that's going to be coming off the Hossa ceremony before the game. And maybe they can ride that to an early lead here against the Seattle Kraken. Plus, Seattle played last night. So back-to-back on the road for Seattle. So another reason where maybe Chicago can jump on Seattle early here in this game. What do you think, Jimmy? Kraken, Blackhawks?
Yeah, look, like I was just saying, I mean, I think the Marian Hossa thing put me on to the Blackhawks in this. Honestly, I wouldn't really care about this game. I hope he's got his water. He's got his water. All right. There we go. There you go, buddy. You need those hot toddies. That's what you need.
I need something to get this thing out of my system.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, whiskey, tea, and honey. It does the trick every time. Every time, Ian.
Mix them or just separately?
All together.
All together. Whiskey, tea, and honey. All right.
Yep.
Well, get cracking on that.
You just let it sit for a little, let it all kind of get together and become one powerful medicine. Trust me, 2 of those, you'll be feeling better. You know what? I'm going Chicago Blackhawks on the puck line in this. I think and I like them in the first period puck line as well. So I'm going to do a double puck line with the Blackhawks.
All right, Chicago, that's first period puck line alongside me, minus a half, plus 150. And then the full game puck line, minus a half, minus 135 for Chicago here in this one against the Seattle Kraken. All right, Toronto Maple Leafs, Dallas Stars. Toronto, minus 155, road favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Toronto opened minus 140 or so. So the money's come in on the Leafs here in this game, even though for Dallas, this is even more of an important game for them. They're hanging on for dear life. Second wild card spot in the West, still just 1 point ahead of Vegas. So it's not like they're home and clear yet, Dallas. Far from it. They have to keep winning to assure themselves of getting into the playoffs. This is an interesting one because I do acknowledge every game now is massive for Dallas in terms of needing 2 points every time out. But they're playing, I think, the better team, and that's the Toronto Maple Leafs, coming off a game where they're not going to be thrilled with giving up a 5-1 lead to the Florida Panthers and losing 7-6. And before people get, on the Leafs, a bad loss, it is. I mean, it doesn't matter who you're playing. You have a 5-1 lead, you're supposed to win that game. But before you get Same old Leafs. Here they go again. Choke artists, choking Leafs again. Here we go again. Before we get too critical, Florida's done this to how many teams this year? 6, 10, 12? They've come back from like 2, 3, 4 goal deficits in a game. They're capable of doing that. And look, there was the Leafs too on a back-to-back on the road, and maybe they ran out of gas, petered out a little bit late, and it doesn't excuse them. But I'm saying, let's not totally bash them over the head, for losing that game. I expect them to be better here in this one. Probably now I would look to Toronto in regulation. Look, I know Dallas needs this victory here, but they rely too much right now on Robertson, on Sagan, on Rupe Hintz and Pavelski. And really outside of that, they're not getting a whole lot offensively from the rest of the team at this point in time, the Dallas Stars. I like obviously Jake Ottinger, but I'm a little bit surprised he's not in net here for the Dallas Stars. They're going with Scott Wedgwood tonight in between the pipes in this game. Obviously, Jack Campbell is in net for the Leafs. Wedgwood was not great when he played against San Jose on Saturday. He gave up 4 goals on 28 shots. His numbers for the year aren't great. He's got a win-loss record below 500, 3.18 goals against average, 909 save percentage. Maybe he needs a rest, Ottinger. I'm puzzled. I'm puzzled by what Rick Bowness is doing here. You're playing a lethal Toronto offense right now that it can't be stopped at the moment, and you're going to put Scott Wedgwood in there in a game of this magnitude, not Jake Ottinger, who's been one of the big reasons you've won so many games lately. I'm puzzled by this. I'm mystified. You're playing a Toronto team that scored 6 against Florida, 6 against Tampa, 6 against Philly, 7 against Winnipeg, 6 against Boston, 5 against Florida. You've got this juggernaut offense coming into town in a game you need, and you're going to go with Wedgwood, journeyman goalie. I'm shocked by it. Can't believe it. That's what they're doing with their goaltending tonight, Dallas. But I like Toronto in regulation. I like over the total because, look, Toronto's getting 5-6 by themselves pretty much every game lately. And I'll be damned if I'm betting Toronto under the total right now, not with what they're doing offensively at the moment. Matthews and Marner, obviously that combination has been like peanut butter and jelly. It goes together quite well, and it has been for lately. It has been for them lately. I would target them for props tonight. And you know what? With Matthews, a rare game where he gets held off the score sheet like he did against Florida, he's usually ready to fire back strong the very next game. So definitely some props that definitely you could look at there involving the Leafs tonight. So this is the classic must win doesn't equal will win. Yeah, Dallas needs wins in every game they can get down the stretch, but I just think they're overmatched here against Toronto, and Toronto's not going to piss around in this game after blowing it the other night against Florida. So it would be Leafs in regulation for me, and it would be over 6.5 in this game as well. Jimmy, what do you think? Toronto, Dallas?
Yeah, look, I'm just because of the way things are so crazy with Dallas and Toronto in terms of wins and losses lately. I'm going to just stick to the over under here, and I think it's a great under spot because both teams need to come in, need to play tight defensive hockey. I know Toronto's been scoring, but they're going to be focused on keeping that puck out of the net after what happened the other night in Florida. Yep. So I'm all over this under 6.5.
All right, liking the under 6.5. 6.5 is a high total for a Dallas game. Not so much for Toronto, but it is high for Dallas. We'll see if the Leafs and the Stars, for that matter, can tighten things up tonight as they take on each other here in this one. All right, next up, we've got Vancouver and Arizona. Next up, Vancouver, minus 170, road favorites in this game. The total currently 6 across the board. You need to realize how much I struggle with Vancouver right now, and I'll tell you how much I struggle with them right now, that I could totally see them beating down Vegas last night 5-1, turning around tonight and losing to Arizona. Mm-hmm. I could totally see that happening with this Canucks team. Like, that's the way it's been for them lately. That being said, that was a season saver, at least temporarily, for Vancouver last night.
Yes.
If they had lost to Vegas and gotten even further behind the Golden Knights, that is a see you later, see you next season type of loss for the Vancouver Canucks. But they won it, and they are still, mathematically alive in the wild card hunt. They really are still in it. They're 7 points back at Dallas for the final spot, and Vancouver still has 11 games left. But problem is, they are going to have to go, I would say, 9-2 minimum, and probably more likely 10-1. The rest of the way, if they're really going to get back and make the playoffs here. So they've still got to go on a torrid run. They obviously have to win this game against a bottom tier Arizona Coyotes team. But Arizona coming off a 5-1 loss to St. Louis. Before that, they beat Chicago in overtime. Before that, they get shut out by a struggling Anaheim team. And before that, they beat San Jose 5-2. So Arizona's been all over the map. But the one thing that's been constant about Arizona is they've got essentially a depleted AHL type roster on the ice for them every single game right now. They still have Kessel and Galchenyuk and Boyd and Schmaltz, Barrett Hayton. But after that, it gets really thin. I mean, there's no Clayton Keller. There's no Roussel. There's no Christian Fisher. There's no Lawson Krause. Chikrin's been out for a while on the blue line. I mean, they are missing a lot of key pieces right now, this Arizona Coyotes team. And I'm not sure that they have a roster fit enough to beat anybody good or anybody motivated to win like a Vancouver. So it's a tricky game all around. I'm probably not going to get involved. I mean, if you had to make me choose, I'd say, come on, Vancouver's got to get this done. They beat obviously a much better Vegas team last night. They should handle Arizona here tonight, but I've seen way too much inconsistency lately from the Canucks to trust them. And by the way, goaltending tonight, Jaro Halak in net for the Canucks. Hari Sateri making his debut for the Arizona Coyotes tonight. Remember, they picked him off waivers from the Leafs and had him down in the AHL for some conditioning. This is a guy that's played in the NHL before, years ago, with the Panthers organization and with the Blue Jackets organization. And he's been in the KHL mostly and he's been a good goalie over there. But the question is, can it translate now to the NHL level? Hari Sateri hasn't appeared in an NHL game since 2018. That season, he had a 2.92 goals against average, 911 save percentage with the Florida Panthers. So we'll see how he fares here in his debut and his return to the NHL and his debut with the Arizona Coyotes for the Finnish goalie Hari Sateri tonight for the Coyotes in this game. But just a lot going on in this game both ways, so I'm going to stay off it. Jimmy, what about you, Vancouver, Arizona?
Right with you, man. Jimmy, pass on this one. Not that I do think Vancouver wins, but then you mentioned this goalie coming in. He's kind of a wild card. Teams don't know him well enough. Yep. He could just come in terms. There's no scouting report really. So he comes in there and he gets the start. He could shock people. So I'm going to stay far away from this game.
That's true. And, they want to, give him a good performance in front of him, on a night like this too, where, you're trying to help him out, help him, get a win in his return to the NHL. So it's a dangerous game for Vancouver, and they're on a back-to-back. So, that's why this is not a slam dunk by any stretch of the imagination here for the Vancouver Canucks tonight in this game. All right, Calgary Flames, San Jose Sharks. We've got Calgary minus 190, road favorites here, 6 the total, shaded to the over in this one. Calgary, good start to the road trip for them. They beat LA 3-2 on Monday night, and then last night against Anaheim, a 4-2 victory against the Ducks. Back-to-back now on the road for the Flames as they continue this trip here tonight in San Jose. This is another one where I think Calgary wins, but it's kind of a tricky spot. It is back-to-back on the road. It's the third road game in 4 nights. We'll see who's in net as well for the San Jose Sharks. It might be James Reimer. It is confirmed James Reimer back in net, which is probably the right call because, look, he actually played pretty well the other night, even though they lost in overtime against Edmonton. And to be honest with you, he's playing better right now than the guy they picked up from Minnesota, Kaapo Kähkönen. He's really struggled since he's been with the San Jose Sharks. So it's probably the right call just from giving us the best chance to win perspective to put James Reimer in net here for the San Jose Sharks in this game. San Jose's, though, lost 4 in a row, 5 of their last 6, and the only win, Jimmy, was against Anaheim, which has obviously been totally fallen off a cliff lately. So there's not a whole lot of faith I have in San Jose beating this Calgary team. Calgary does continue the road trip Saturday in Seattle. Keep an eye on that spot. A lot of these teams have been ending these West Coast road trips lately in Seattle, and they've been losing in Seattle on these final games of these road trips. That could actually be a bet against spot for Calgary there at the end, especially if they win tonight once again in San Jose. It's crazy how many teams, have 3-0 road trip or 3-1 road trip, and they wind it up in Seattle and they lose to the Kraken. There have been a couple of teams that have fallen victim to Seattle at that very spot at the end of a road trip. So that's a little dangerous game maybe on Saturday night for the Flames against the Seattle Kraken. But as for tonight, I think they win. I still do, even though it's a back-to-back on the road. That's my only concern. But I still think they get the victory. The one issue I do have is, look, San Jose's kind of played, I don't know what it is, but they've really been a thorn in Calgary's side. They've won 5 of the last 6 meetings. They've actually won all 3 head-to-head meetings this year, Jimmy, against Calgary. 4-1, 5-3, and 4-3 the last time they played in Calgary, where Calgary had the lead and San Jose came back in the third period. It wasn't the greatest game from Jacob Markstrom. I don't know. I just think Calgary eventually is sick and tired of losing to this. They're like, we're better than San Jose, and we haven't beaten them yet this year. I think that emanates with them in the dressing room before this game tonight. And hey, we haven't beaten the San Jose team yet. It's time to finally beat them. I think it'll probably be Vladar tonight in net because it's a back-to-back. I'm okay with that. He's actually been pretty good lately in the last couple of starts for the Calgary Flames, capable in net if it's indeed him. It hasn't been confirmed, but I'd probably expect him to get the start. He's got a 2.84 goals against, 904 save percentage. Again, his starts the last couple have been better. He only gave up 2 against Colorado, only gave up 2 against Vancouver. So it's been better the last couple outings for Vladar, capable if he does get the start tonight. So lean for me at least Calgary in regulation if I were to bet it. What do you think, Jimmy? Flames and Sharks?
Yeah, look, I'm gonna stay away from this one too. I'm sorry to have a couple passes today, but this one is a weird one. I would have been all over Calgary, but the news coming out in the last hour, Doug Wilson has stepped down as the general manager of the San Jose Sharks. He's an important figure in that organization, really close with the players. The players respect him. He was a players GM, and he was a presence, was always hanging out with them in a dressing room. I know that he's played a big role, obviously, over the course of time in bringing the San Jose Sharks the success they had. So does that motivate them? Do they win one for the Gipper here? I don't know. This might be something I'll jump in live, but right now I'm going to hold back. I would have been on Calgary, but this kind of cautions me a bit.
Yeah, definitely. And that was a surprise because he's been there forever, obviously, and he's had other opportunities to either get fired or step down. And yet he's still somehow year after year, there he is. You see him during the Sharks games. They'll show him in the press box, Doug Wilson in his usual spot, watching things unfold. And it is going to be weird seeing a Sharks team moving forward without him. I mean,
for sure. So good luck to him. I think he was actually having some health issues as well. So hope everything works out for him.
Yeah, I think that definitely might have played a little factor too, and why maybe now is the time he's picked to step down. Certainly, if it's a health issue, we wish him all the best, no question about that, and a very long tenure for him with the San Jose Sharks. All right, final game of this Thursday card. One of the better games tonight, more important games tonight in terms of what's at stake. Edmonton Oilers, Los Angeles Kings. We've got the Oilers minus 130 road favorites in this game. The total 6.5 across the board. We'll see how this one goes. But look, the Oilers, pretty impressive stuff from them, certainly offensively. Leon Draisaitl, a very late scratch prior to the San Jose game on Tuesday night, but no problem. They find a way to win. They get the 2-1 win in overtime. What a great pass, by the way, by Mike Smith to set up Connor McDavid for that overtime goal. And look, we've ripped apart Mike Smith's ability to stop the puck, and rightfully so. But one thing about Mike Smith is he's one of the best puck-handling goaltenders in the NHL. And, it's been that way for him for a long time. So, I'm not surprised to see him be able to make that kind of great play to find Connor McDavid streaking down the ice, middle of the ice, and set him up for a breakaway in overtime to win that game against San Jose. It was a great play. Oilers, if they could get any kind of goaltending consistently, defensive play, if it can just hold up just enough, we're seeing they could be a very dangerous team. They 6-1 in their last 7 games. They're on a 5-game win streak going into tonight. They've started the road trip well, beating Anaheim 6-1, beating San Jose 2-1 the other night. But it's going to get a little more difficult here after facing Anaheim and San Jose on this road trip. Now playing the LA Kings, who are coming off a 3-2 home loss to the Calgary Flames on Monday night. They've had 2 days off now prior to this game. Edmonton and LA just played about a week ago in Edmonton. Edmonton got the 4-3 win in a shootout LA was down in that game. They rallied to tie at 3-3, but the Oilers got the win in a shootout in that game. We'll see if they can once again emerge victorious here against the Kings. It looks like Draisaitl, his status for tonight up in the air. Questionable. Looks like it's going to be a game time decision for him tonight. And obviously it was the late scratch for Edmonton against San Jose, but questionable game time decision is the latest on him in terms of being able to play tonight against the LA Kings. No confirmed goalies as of yet for this game, but projections are Mike Smith for Edmonton, Jonathan Quick for the Los Angeles Kings. Kings are still very much banged up, but they're starting to get a little healthier at least. Still without Matt Roy, Sean Walker, Drew Doughty, three of your starting six defensemen. Athanasiou and Brown are still up out of the lineup up front, but at least now you're seeing Arvidsson recently came back. Arthur Kaliev's had an increased role, which is good because I think he's got a good skill set. Kempe continues to play very well. Danault's had a great season, first year in LA. Kopitar has been steady lately. Iafallo and the LA Kings. I get a sense this is a Kings spot tonight. I just do. I know Edmonton's playing very well, but you got LA having lost to Edmonton last week in oil country. Now you get them tonight. You got 2 days off after a game against Calgary where Calgary was really fired up in that game. Calgary was off a few losses in a row. You got the best game out of the Calgary Flames, and yet LA, they still were right there and only lost 3-2 to Calgary in that game on Monday night. I just get the sense there's a little value to me on the Kings as a home dog here, plus 110 in this game. Losing to Edmonton last time out. This is a huge game in the Pacific Division standings. Edmonton's second in the division with 87 points. LA third in the division with 86 points. Of course, second place in this division is going to get home ice advantage in the first round of the playoffs. So this is a huge 2 points between these two teams. Should be a great game. I'm kind of leaning Kings right now, though, plus 110. I'm going to look toward the home dog in this spot. Jimmy, what do you think here, Oilers and Kings?
I'm going with the Kings on this one. I just like the spot for them. I think right now the urgency is a little higher there. Edmonton has been playing well. The Kings have kind of been up and down. I like the Kings in this one as a home dog, so straight up.
Yeah, and keep in mind, most of the Edmonton wins were at home, all right, during this great streak. They've really feasted on home ice. They beat St. Louis, L.A., Arizona, San Jose on home ice, New Jersey on home ice. And then the two road wins that they've had since starting this trip, well, they were San Jose and Anaheim. I mean, it's not like they've beaten some of the better teams in the Western Conference on this road trip. This is going to be the best team by far they played on this road trip. And really overall, I don't want to poke totally a ton of holes on the Edmonton schedule, but really other than, a narrow shootout win against LA and a fortuitous, hang on for dear life overtime win against St. Louis, the other wins were San Jose, Anaheim, Arizona, San Jose again, New Jersey. You know what I mean? It's not like they've beaten a ton of terrific high-quality opponents lately, the Edmonton Oilers. So, when I look at it here, I think there's a lot of reasons to like LA. The spot, the situation. They're the team that's a point back. They can't afford to fall 3 back, especially lose a home game here to the Edmonton Oilers. So I think the Kings bring it tonight. And look, 2 days off. And no travel. So get practice in, fix what didn't work against Calgary on Monday night, and come back here with a pretty strong game. I like it. LA Kings plus 110 as well in this one against the Edmonton Oilers. All right, great stuff on this Thursday card with Jimmy Murphy. Should be a great slate tonight. Looking forward to it. 141 live viewers on YouTube. Hit the like button. Make sure you do that. We appreciate it very much. And we'll remind you, as always, about DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NHL, and a great partnership with us here at the Ice Guys and the Hockey Podcast Network. A reminder, new customers, get involved with DraftKings Sportsbook. You can bet just $1 on any NHL team and get $150 in free bets if they win. That's right. A bump in the win column for your team means free bets for you. If DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you still have a shot to light the lamp. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Hockey Contests. DraftKings giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet just $1 on any NHL team and get $150 in free bets if they win. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Must be 21 years of age or older. Must reside in a DraftKings Sportsbook state. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Download the DraftKings app. Sign up for an account and use the promo code THPN. All right, it is time for Best Bets to wrap things up for a Thursday edition of the Ice Guys. Jimmy, we'll start with you. What do you like for Best Bet?
I'm going to go right where we left off there, guys, and take the LA Kings as an underdog at home there over the Edmonton Oilers.
All right, there we go. LA Kings plus 110 against the Edmonton Oilers. Best bet for Jimmy on this Thursday slate. My best bet for this Thursday card, I am going to go with the Montreal Canadiens plus 140 against the New Jersey Devils. I think it's a live dog. I think especially when you consider who's out of the lineup tonight for New Jersey, predominantly Jack Hughes being the big absence, of course. The fact they only scored one goal without him the other night against Georgiev and the New York Rangers. Obviously, he's going to be missed offensively. So if you can't rely on the offense as much without Jack Hughes, what can you rely on? Because you sure as hell can't rely on the defense and the goaltending right now for the New Jersey Devils. And you've got Montreal back on the road where they've actually played a little bit better lately than they have at the Bell Center, and coming off a 6-3 loss to Ottawa. I think they'll play a lot better tonight. I think they're very live to get a victory tonight in Jersey. Montreal Canadiens plus 140 against the New Jersey Devils. That is going to be my best bet for this Thursday NHL card. And that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, and we got two special guests, DJ Mitchell and Peyton Clark, joining us tomorrow on the show. So just suddenly, we've got all of a sudden two guests tomorrow. Looking forward to that on the Friday edition of the Ice Guys. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Jimmy Murphy, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will talk to you again tomorrow on Friday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.